Me e noi tātou. Manawa mai te mauri nuku, manawa mai te mauri rangi, ko te mauri kaiau, he mauri te pua, ka pakaru mai te pō, tau mai te mauri, haumi e, hui e, tāki e. Beautiful to see you all today, as I said, to come and meet Haumanu. She's very beautiful. I think of her as a being. So we'll unfold her to you. But ko aio, ko tarapounamu te maunga, ko ohani mātauranga te awa, ko papueru te marae, ko Ngāti Tāwhaki te hapu, ko Nai Tūhoi me Ngāti Pākehā oku iwi, ko Melbourne rawa ko Doherty toku whānau, ko Louise Mara toku ingoa. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Yeah, so beautiful to be here today and with this kind of sacred work, hey, of how do we work in a way together that becomes a restorative and healing way, just as we do our work, not as something special, but just as we work together. So yeah, I think of myself as a braided river. I actually have kind of Romanic Italian blood, Celtic blood, Tūhoi blood, and it's been quite a journey in my life to sort of bring these rivers of whakapapa together in my being to make love, not war. So, there was a lot of sort of war inside. And that's been a very beautiful journey for me, and also was just super interested in systems change from a really young age. So I kind of worked in so many different parts of government, NGOs, philanthropy, to go, how will we change the system? And when I started training in intergenerational and collective trauma, I kind of thought, wow, this is what's been such a missing piece. This has been such a missing piece in how we change our systems. So then working with others at the Centre for Social Impact have just kind of worked for the last 10 years developing and prototyping all over the world a much more restorative way that we heal as we work to create systems change. So it's a very beautiful thing, and I want to sort of give you an experience of it today, as well as introduce you, as I said, to her. And there's so much information and that we'll have today on the CSI website. So you'll have lots of sort of links and things to be able to kind of follow up as well. So yeah, that's me. I'm going to just pass to Chloe for a little bit, and then we'll dive into a exploration.
Got it. Thanks, Louise. Kia ora tātou, ko Chloe Howard, tōku ingoa. So my name's Chloe. I am part of this small team of associates that have been working on, as Louise said, exploring how to bring healing and restoration into the process of changing our systems. And it's this that has led to Haumanu, which we describe as kind of an emergent approach to restorative systems change that draws from, as Louise said, the kind of braided river of mataranga Māori and Western knowledge. And for us, really, the Haumanu means to restore, rejuvenate, and we've really worked to provide a kind of, not easy, because as Louise said, Haumanu, this isn't a tight Western boxed framework. So it's been quite a journey to share about it and kind of, take it out into the world. And because so much of it is deeply connected to yourself and to the environment and the earth. So if you're here for kind of 1, 2, 3 of how to bring restoration and systems change, this probably won't do it. But if you're here to kind of learn and grow and hear more about approach that kind of, once you sort of get into it, you start to feel and see it everywhere and things. So my background is I've had 20 years in philanthropy, worked in strategy, lots of kind of right brain spaces, and really about sort of 4 or 5 years ago when we started really delving into this, I could see that this was kind of a way of looking at systems change that actually felt much more at ease. I'd done a lot of research, we'd looked at lots of different approaches and ways of kind of thinking and being, but for us, Haumanu has done that. So I'll talk a little bit at the end about kind of some of the practical things of how Haumanu's been out into the world and the different things that we've worked on. But I'm going to hand back to Louise, and she's going to kind of take us through in a little bit more detail. So settle in. You've got your cuppa, grab your cuppa, but yeah, this is about not working too hard, and it's about just kind of being into the space. So kia ora koutou. Over to you, Louise.
Yeah, and just some invitations before we start, hey? And, one is you don't have to work hard from the inside in this session. Sometimes we work so hard from the inside trying to get things that it's really hard to take them in. So it's just, it's just kind of absorb what you do. Don't have to get it all. There's plenty of ways that we can follow up as well. So, yeah, and also do what your tinana needs to do. If you need to stand up, if you need to move around, you're not kind of stuck by the screen. So I might stand up, we've got to kind of just keep ourselves in a place again where we're not kind of managing ourselves or trying to just sit there in a contracted way. So those are my invitations. Because it's quite a big topic, and we're kind of going to go into our own biology a little bit here as well. So first, I'm not going to show many slides, but just as context setting, one thing that's a real lights on in this work is actually how traumatized our systems are and how traumatizing they are. And, there's, we're in such a time of overwhelm. We are in, what's known as the meta crisis, the multi-crisis. We've never been in this time before where we have such potentially disastrous consequences for how we've treated Papatūānuku. All the wars have been in different times, but actually where we are is quite a crisis time for humanity. And yet we've still got systems that come from often a very disconnected paradigm, a paradigm based really on the Western Orthodox worldview that still sees the world in separation and has built systems like that. Now, of course, often these systems are systems of oppression. They come from a very orthodox worldview that is woven in superiority, is woven in so many things that actually we need to find a different starting point. So the slide I want to show you, let's just make sure I can share my screen. This is, I work also for the Collective Change Lab with John Kania and others. And this was his kind of systems. Let me make it a slide view for you. This was his systems diagram. We've updated it together. But basically he was saying, systems include all the resource flows, all the kind of practices that are common, all the policies and way HR is set up, all the things that are set up within organisations, plus the relationships, of course, and connections, all the power dynamics that often can override even what the hierarchy looks like. There's some hilarious models of that. But actually also this really what we call embodied understanding and mental models, like what paradigm are we in? And then we say that actually trauma fields go all the way through that. So they're woven so much into how systems are set up that if we're going to ignore those trauma fields, actually we're going to keep getting caught in them. Now, we see trauma layers as intergenerational, collective, historical, systemic, as well as individual. But most individual trauma is intergenerational or collective. Of course, there's event trauma. So we're kind of bringing the trauma work, systems change work, and organisational work together in Haumanu. And it gives us a way to be able to kind of navigate these times and all the historical trauma that's often been ignored, to be able to work with it and bring it into the room in a healthy way. And of course, it's already always in the room. It's already there anyway. And I don't know where all of you work. I've got a list, but if you just think about your workplaces, often there's a lot of kind of horizontal conflict, there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of daru, there's a lot that's happening that actually people aren't necessarily knowing how to work together, and in a way that actually can work with that in a healthy and, as I say, restorative way. So let's go on a little journey. We'll have times for Q&A, but I just want to take us into our biology. So just come along. You just need to come along. And it's because our biology really matters in this. Because if we don't understand our biology, we're likely to get much more entangled in things than if we do have an understanding of how to work with it. So we live in a biology, an ecosystem, if you like, that is absolutely magnificent. Like, I don't even think we've begun to turn on the superpowers of this biology. It's kind of been my thing ever since I was a little girl into Uruwera. I was saying, what does it mean to be human? And this has been my life's journey. And it's incredible what we can do. We exist in relationship, kinship with all things. We can feel them. We can sense them. We bring in a lot of kind of data into our being. We're very sensing and able to kind of then make sense. So we live and we can really connect to anything we choose to. Like, it's quite amazing, and we can feel it, and we can have this amazing relationship. So we're built for this connectivity. We're absolutely built for it. And the challenge, we have a very challenging biology in that we're also built for protection. We're also built for protection. So we have these two impulses. One is I really want to connect, feel my wholeness, feel my interbeing, and I really want to protect myself from harm because there's been so much harm. And these two things can seem really in conflict, and often if we end up in all our protection mechanisms, that's not the place which will ever save the world. It's a really important place and we don't wrong it, but we're not going to rewire the world from that. So we'll unpack this a little bit more, and then I'll show you kind of some diagrams. But first, I just want you just to enjoy a little journey through your biology. So just see if you can feel those two things for a start. Yeah, I want to connect, but I don't trust, and I want to protect. Just see if you can just have a sense of those two operating systems within your being, without wronging them. In this hour we've got together now, we're just not going to wrong anything about us. All of us have those systems. And then let's go into them a little deeper. So our nervous systems, I like to think of as alchemical systems. Like they really are this interconnectivity and the protection. That's where kind of a lot of that sits within our body systems. So I want you to feel what do you do? Like what works for you to bring you into a place of mauri tau, mauri ora, relaxed, calm but alive. Not relaxed, calm and numbed out, like relaxed, calm and alive. All of you will already have some things that you do. And I want you just to think of them right now. I'll give some examples, like I love dancing, I love music. I'll have 1-minute dance parties on my own just to come back into my, just to dance my state actually, often 3 minutes. I love hanging out with trees. Being in the ngahere. What do you do? It might be breath, it might be walking, it might be your dog, it might be, what brings you to that place? It might be weaving. I think Kaya weaving. And just notice, like, I want you now to imagine you're doing that thing. You're doing that thing. Notice anything that you feel as you do that thing. Like notice what happens in your being. And if there's anything in the chat, love to see. Yeah, Jade, practice Qigong. Impromptu dance parties are always good. And notice, what happens? Like I notice even as I'm doing my thing, I feel expansive. I feel here. Ileana, dance, stretching, looking at the stars. Oh, that does it for me too. And as people put things there, go, oh yeah, I love that. Yeah, water, swimming. Notice your me toos, like, me too. And let yourself have that deliciousness. Angela, being in the ocean. Breath, ocean, sun, water, painting, gardening. Oh my gosh, I love gardening. Being in the bush, listening for the birds. So let's bring all this into our room. Tramping in the ngahere, mountain biking. And just notice now what happens in your body. Like, do you feel more up for connection? I notice my heart more. I get a bit less thinky. I notice doing that I'm a bit less worried about what you'll all think of the webinar. So it just is, it's just delicious. And in this place, which, in a science sense, they often refer to it as our ventral vagal, we've turned on our vagus nerve. This is when, wow, I'm up for connection. I'm up for collaboration. And it's a beautiful place when we turn this on because I'm not competing. I'm just wanting to bring my full self. I'm not trying to be Chloe, say, or Rebecca. I'm curious. I'm super curious about how they are. And I'm super also connected to myself. So it's a very magical place in our humanity. And it's really the only place we can fully connect from. But we can't stay here because we have these other parts to our biology. So I want you now to call to. Before I do, actually, just notice in this state, just note down what might your story of yourself and the world be in this place. Because each state we end up with a story. So I notice, for example, my story of myself in this place is kind of anything's possible, and I'm doing okay. You know? Yeah, what's your story of yourself in this place? I know, Jade. We're just having a sense. It's a short webinar. And what's your story of the world? Like, I notice my story of the world in this place is hopeful. Yeah, I feel very present. It's hopeful. And we can do this. I want to say in this place, we can do this. Let's do this. Yeah, part of the whole. These are beautiful. So we kind of end up with a story in each stage, and the old brain, more the just brain work is like change your story and you'll change your state. The biology work that includes our whole being is if you change your state, your story changes. Yeah, beautiful, grounded, present, sovereign to my own creativity. I love that. I feel like that too, engaged and present. Yeah, release inhibitions. That's right, you release inhibitions in this place. You really do, because you're not trying to manage yourself. But let's go into that other place, because it's important too. I want you to think, you won't have to think too far back, like a couple of days, probably a week at the most. And I don't want you to pick the biggest thing, but just pick something where you felt activated, triggered. What's going on? Like, I want you to kind of really feel into that event. I had one in the weekend. I'm like, oh, this is so crunchy. And I want you to have a sense as you remember it, what happens in your body. Like, already I'm doing this. I'm kind of, and my sound, sorry, excuse my sound, but that's how I feel. And immediately I feel this, I can, just even remembering it, I can feel these contracted places in my body. So I want you to have a feel into yourself as you remember these activations. Remember this, remember something that pissed you off. And just notice what happens in you. Love to see anything in the chat, like what happens in you. Like I said, I get tight. It's like literally something comes over my heart. Yeah, body contracted, tense, yeah, agitated, yeah. Oh, we hate this place as human. Both bound and stretched. That's super cool. Yes, it's true. I get what you mean. Shut down, tunnel vision, out of control, heady, throat dry, body heats up. You're all good. Breathing faster is true. Weighed down. So this is where then all our protection mechanisms come in. Hey, because now there's something going on in my biology that's hard to be with. Now, one of the things Haumanu does is say, this is the healing zone. This isn't a wrong zone. We've wronged this zone so much. I've worked in leadership development for years. Our profession has a lot to answer for because it's been so behaviour-based. But actually, this is a healing zone. And that's a super important thing because how we work with this zone really matters in terms of whether we take a restorative approach or we take a bypassy approach and we're going to pass it all on to the next generation. Do you know what I mean? Or whether we take a trauma bombing approach, that we just keep causing each other harm. It's how we work in this zone that matters. So this is called the sympathetic in nervous system language, the sympathetic. And then you've got it. Yes, I'm always pissed off. It motivates my mahi. It's exhausting. That's super cool, Gloria, because it's true. It does have energy. It does have energy. It's not like the next place, but it can exhaust us because it can have a lot of, I've just forgotten the name, but a lot of cortisol can go through. Adrenaline. We can become very adrenaline fueled, but you don't want to live off adrenaline for too long. And it's anxiety, yeah. But it is the growth zone. This is the growth, healing, stretching zone. Yeah, so that we'll come back to that. Let me just talk about the last place, because you all know it, which is the freeze. So that's when, and this is happening a lot in our society and workplaces, this is all too overwhelming, so I just have some degree of numbing out, either a little bit or a lot. And numbing out can mean I've lost touch with my tinana and my hininaro. I've lost touch with my body and my emotions. If I'm just thinking the world, I'm in a functional freeze. Now that's huge, because we think most of the world's in a functional freeze, and I think it is. Because I'm not going to really collaborate with Chloe, Rebecca, Michelle, that's our team today, if I'm just thinking them. Hey, because I'm going to be thinking, not really going to be receiving, I'm not going to be weaving. Haumanu's all about weaving a different container. So this freeze, hey, can be, like I say, just some numbing out, or it can get, of course, it's the place of addictions and a lot of numbing out because it's too painful. And the most suffering is to hang out in the sympathetic activation and then in the freeze, and the sympathetic back into the sympathetic activation, then in overwhelm, and then into the freeze. That's actually, for humanity, our most suffering, because we miss out what we started with. My place of absolutely, I'm connected to earth, like my body belongs to the earth, actually. I am earth. It's such a different way when we're in this very interconnecting place. So just think of a time when you felt a bit frozen, or it could be just an area in your life you feel stuck, or a pattern that just keeps repeating that you're stuck in. I forgot to ask that story. And just notice this sense of kind of stuckness. It gets very hopeless and helpless. And I think humanity's largely stuck here with regards to climate change. And I think because our collective nervous system operates like our individual one. Floating in no man's land, And just notice, I forgot to ask on the last one, but what might be your story of yourself and the world here? So for me, if I get stuck in a freeze, I can get very inner criticky. We call it the superego, the part that annihilates ourselves, and then we get very shut down. And my story of the world is nothing's going to work. Like a failure. It's definitely powerless. I can't do anything. This is true. I can't deal with the world. I want someone to come and save me. Screaming into the void. Although that can also be sympathetic. Super judgy. You can't connect in this place. And of course it can be the place of depression as well. But this place we can't connect because we're not connected. So often people try and connect to people in this place, but it's very tricky for them to do that. So let me show you slide about this. Actually, let's go. Oh, sorry, I just have to get onto the right slide. I'll show you two of these slides. See which one works for you. Share. This one is just often easier because of the colour, but I'll show you two. Yes, so this is what we've just been through. It's kind of my version, but let's just start down the bottom, hey? Here's this connected to the web of life, creative, expansive, generative, very connected to earth. This is our interbeing place. Māori order, Māori aroha, if you like, and Māori tau. I'm relaxed, I'm alive, and I'm not having to protect myself. So someone said it earlier. So I can just bring myself. I'm not having to. Yeah. So that's kind of where we've been, and then here's the sympathetic. I'm in survival. This is our survival energy. And this is where I get a fight flight. I get big emotions. I'm contracted. I'm triggered. I'm frightened. And do you know what? You're allowed to be frightened. And if we could all be much more honest about when we're frightened and actually metabolize fear together, things would go a lot different. But instead we get very competitive, contracted, and here we can trauma bomb each other. And what I mean by that is I don't like the way I'm feeling, so I'm going to make it you. But the most important thing I want you to take away today is this isn't a wrong place. Everything that arises through you is arising for something to be healed and something to grow. So something's trying to be healed and something's trying to be grow. And humans are meant to trigger each other. But so many of our collaborations are often set up so idealistically that they don't realize this is part of the growth serum of life. This is going to grow you. But if we have an agreement that we're going to work with this in a healthy way, just as the way we work so that we all grow together without shaming, without blaming, being able to metabolize fear, being able to metabolize all the feels that come up here. And as you get good at this work, including rage, including hatred, including grief, like all these things that actually are trying to be restored. And then there's the dorsal, this free, super critical, sleepy shutdown. You guys all got that super well. So, and again, the bottom place is what heals. It's what, as teams, we need to know how to tap in and grow it, because that is the fuel for healing. The yellow zone is what needs to be healed. It's showing you what actually needs to be healed. And the dorsal is also extremely important because it's our mechanism to manage overwhelm. But there are other mechanisms. There are, and we've stayed numbed out to too much injustice way too long. Certainly in, again, the white orthodox world, that we've got to kind of unnumb and begin to include. One other thing I'll say is, and this is a big thing to say, but for all of you who say work in NGO sector, government departments, I mean, I think it's true for corporates as well, but it can be a little removed, is you actually work on and in a trauma field. And that trauma field is trying to not only have you work on the mahi, but work with the trauma field in order to release, integrate and release the energy trapped in there. That's a huge thing to say, but that's what Haumanu is. Haumanu is, there's another way of working. In some ways, it's kind of could be seen as our Wairua work, but I actually think it's our physical, biological work as well. That we know the trauma field we're on, and that we know when it arises through people in the team, and we know how to work collectively to, in some ways, set that energy free so that we have more energy. It's exhausting to pretend it isn't there. It's exhausting to be always managing it. It's exhausting to be keeping so busy so that you don't feel it. I've only got an hour, so I'm kind of being a bit blunt, but I know this territory super well. There's another way of working that actually becomes a collective nervous system. That part of the mahi is that we transform the energy of the trauma field we work on. Otherwise, we're always avoiding it, working on a thing and passing that energy to the next generation. So my vow to myself is I'm just going to do everything I can to not pass things on to the next generation, which means I have to become a walking restorer. And certainly of my own whānau system. As I said, I'm both coloniser and colonised. Like, what can I do to bring these energies together? So, yeah, let's just pause, because those are big things to say. And we'll come on to Ata soon, but I'm just going to see if there's any questions or comments, or could be resistances. I hate this. I'm leaving. I don't want to know. Everything welcome. Nat, there's something wrong with me that I can't seem to hack it. Everyone else can keep going, and it's fine. I don't think anyone's that fine at the moment, Nat. We're in such a big place. It's just that we've got very good at masking. There's a lot of desperation. And I think we've all got to come into, this work is so real. It's not about being perfect. You're not going to stay in that beautiful zone, but we can learn the art of coming back and wiring it in. And then we can get really good at going, you know what? I'm actually really frightened right now. I have a lot of rage right now. Will you feel it with me? And this work is you learning to be the aroha for what arises in you. Be the love for what arises in you, not the self-hatred again. And when we can't, that we have cultures that can say, will you be the love for what's arising in me, because I can't right now. And then together, can we be the aroha for what's arising through our team, through our field, through our... catastrophizing will be our story of the world or the team in that yellow zone. That's all terrible. So we can get really stuck into these places. Yeah. How do we take those steps to heal the sympathetic space? And Gloria, Jewel Andrew, could only ever lead to restoration. We are of both with love. Yeah, I love that. It is part, I agree. It is our path. All those who are braided rivers, that is your path, is to, like I said, help them make love, not war, inside you. Hey, so that actually changes the energy outside. But a lot are trying to do the outside work without doing the inside work. So steps to heal in that sympathetic space. This will answer that in a way, and then we'll make sure we have plenty of time for questions. But I'll just show you Ata, which I love her. She's part of Haumanu. For some reason I need to go onto every slide before I share it with you. Share. Ata, a deeply relational kupu in itself, is such a beautiful process that we've developed, at CSI to help teams, organisations, parts of a system to be able to work in this way, to be able to heal that sympathetic together. I'll come on to individually as well. So it is such a... Oh, it's gone back onto the other one. Are you... What are you seeing, Michelle?
I can see that you're moving through them, so if you just keep going. Yeah, we're there.
Yeah, right. So it's a process model. Now, we have so many tools for each of these petals, if you like. There's resources on the CSI website, but it's a continuous journey, and we're not saying that it's linear. So I haven't kind of put numbers of where to start, but generally you start with taonga. Like, how are you resourcing and resourcing your teams and organisations? So there's so many things, but this is all about wiring in that ventral green space. Wire it in, wire it in, wire it in. So one practice of anyone who works with us on this is, we call it 6 by 1. So 6 times a day for 1 minute, can you stop and do something that brings you joy and ease as part of your radical service? Because if you can wire that place into you, it will have an impact on all of those around you. So resourcing. So just what we did at the beginning when I said, what do you do that helps you come into this state? So with teams, say we do a resource map. What does everyone do? And then let's, in meetings, just pause often to bring in a resource, because what we're trying to do is wire that place in that can change the world, like that can actually connect. But because we're often in the busy zone, and the busy highway is a trauma highway, it's not a connection place people can connect from through our biology. Not deeply. So we need to have these off-ramps of that, and this kind of... And you can do team practices, and, one of my stories, and I've kind of do it myself, but working with Africans, they created these 1-minute dance parties at work, and they did them 6 times a day. And they said it made such a significant difference. So that's what taonga is. We know how to come back, and we're starting to learn the art of coming back. I think the next one, Papatsuanuku, is so essential to connect with Mother Earth, because people use the word grounded, but grounded means I'm connected to Earth. I live in an Earth body, so I need to be connected. So there's so many processes, and there's so many in Te Ao Māori that you can use here, just as in resource and resource, which can be karakia, waiata. But these need to be really woven into the fabric of our organisations. And like I say, 6 times a day for 1 minute will do so much to wire that in. And then we know about whakawhanaungatanga to create connection. Like, we know how to do that in this country, hey? And to give that relational fabric weaving time. But then Haumanu is not just about feeling good, and it's not just about regulating. It actually is about we use that place, we use that alchemical superpower humanity has to Haututu, to let things come apart, look at what needs to come apart, actually look at the injustices. We really use it for healing. That's the difference in Haumanu. It's not just wellness, it's not just mindfulness, it's saying we're going to use it to rewire the world. That's a big difference, because I see people often say, oh, that's a wellness practice. I'm like, no, it isn't just a wellness practice. It's an activist practice. And then whakakotahi, which often groups don't get to, is creating a unified field where so much magic can happen. One of my groups is now 6 years long, and they have become a healing field, which means they work with ease whatever arises. And the field itself heals it. So no one's left alone to try and do this individual healing work that actually is limited. And then once you've got these kind of fields operating, and creativity, I know there's a lot of creative people here, can really help. Like, creativity is the hallmark of, we've got a lot of inspiration coming in. And then we have learned, and I've got protocols written about this, and processes to enter Haumanu. Okay, we are actually going to start healing the things that arise through our team and organisation. And there's processes to do that. But you need to set up these phases. And then once kind of some of the energy that needs to move through the collective body has moved through, you get a lot of energy for, again, creativity to generate, co-create, proliferate. But not before, because if you're generating, co-creating and proliferating from a place of disconnect, you will get more disconnect. I'm going to stop talking soon. It's kind of like I talk about, do you want fries with that? I give, say, Chloe a task, but it's so laden with my pressure and stress that actually she doesn't get a clean task. She gets a whole handover of stress and pressure. And doesn't this trickle down from above often? We've got to do. So we're keeping these collective nervous systems in this state. So then we can set off a strategy with exhaustion, with, it's what's the mauri, the energy you're birthing from. Is it from connection? Is it from this ventral place? So that's a really important thing of where are we birthing from? Where are we setting off things? And yeah, I could show you another slide, but I think I'm just going to stop here. Just do a little time check. And this 6x1 I would totally do for yourselves, but super good if you can create a culture around it as well. Yeah, that's so fantastic, Gloria. We so need, that's amazing that you do that. Where are you from, Gloria? That's amazing. This is what we need. We need these human connective restorative practice woven into our work. You'll get way more productivity or flow than what you'll do not doing it. Waipareta, yeah, fantastic. I'm so sorry that you got made redundant. Yeah, so how do we actually build a restorative way of working? Because if you're not managing yourself and all your, if we're not managing our stress all the time and pressure, and we're doing that together, like the most productive state is a flow state, and most never get into it. And that's not about pushing. I will just show you this one more slide. Where is it? We can send you out this slide deck, which has got some. Yeah, this one. We'll send it out to you. We can do that, Michelle. getting from a fix-it worldview, which is that's it, which is a sympathetic world, into a healing worldview, has some different things, So I'll just let you read that. I won't but just have a look. They're quite different paradigms in a way. So it just is such a beautiful, natural way for humans to work, and we've got to recover it. And of course, this is a simplified version of what happens, but yeah, it's very much an operation. Yeah, so any other questions? I just think that's amazing what you were doing, Gloria. Trees are amazing. They have nervous systems like ours. They can co-regulate. I get everyone to make friends with a tree. Ines, love to hear from somebody.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Louise. Can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I joined the meeting half an hour later. I forgot that it was 6 p.m. my time, so I may have missed maybe some important information, insight, experience at the beginning of the call. But I would like to hear a bit about your experience in implementing those practices with organizations. If you have identified some specific profiles of organizations that are really willing to change practices, change mindsets, integrate maybe some tools, and even ways of seeing that are totally different from what they've been implementing using so far, right? I've been working in the space of social impact for almost 15 years now, and I've just seen a lot of surface work without any consideration of all those deep layers. And I would love to get engaged in spreading those practices that are very essential to me, in my view. But I just can see so many barriers in the capacity of the organizations and the leaders just opening themselves to a different way of seeing. So what have you learned in terms of where and how can those practices be implemented maybe more easily or more effectively today?
Yeah, good question, because I've spent, as others have, a lot of my life trying to, get this off the ground, and there's a lot of resistance, A couple of things, okay, thanks, Erin. Couple of things, is I'll show you a quote soon, but we work internationally in this healing-centered systems change with this quote around islands of coherence within a sea of chaos. So an island of coherence within a sea of chaos can actually start to harmonize the whole system. So that means that it's not necessarily the leadership team. It's a group of people within an organization or system that actually wants to do this work. And I more and more work with the willing. Thanks, Jade. Do you know what I mean? I more work with the willing, because if people are feeling called into their work, it's already part of their purpose to be a walking restorer rather than a walking repeater. It's already within their purpose. So my advice is pockets within an organisation that are willing to work in this way will actually have a big impact on the whole organisation, and I really know that to be true. I have seen working, I've worked in Cambodia, say, with the killing fields, because the killing fields didn't happen that long ago and is alive and well and taking people out. That energy's there. So often there's big freezes, And I have seen that if there's enough, like within a whole teams that I've been working with, that come along the journey, that others will feel safe enough to come in. But if you've got massive resistance, I just wouldn't start there, because you've got so much protection that there's not the capacity yet to be able to engage in this work. So I've seen both people coming along, but starting with the willing. And so, you know, we work with prototyping, like give something a go. And prototyping gets permission and says, hey, I've been kind of doing this work. They said to give some of this a go. Would you be willing? And we get to adjust it as we go along. Was that really resourcing for us? No, let's do something else. Because we're not prescribing what you do. We're just saying what some of the steps are. And I work in all different cultures around the world, so I'm not telling them what to do. I'm just saying, how do you connect to the earth? How do you connect to ancestors? We do a lot of ancestral work. Earth intelligence, EI, ancestral intelligence, AI, aroha intelligence. Like these intelligences that we grow, that increases our healing capacity. So there's so much that we can do and learn and grow. So big resistance, I tend not to work with it anymore. But there'll be people wanting to work in this way, saying we don't want to keep working in the way, it's not working. So in just a small island of coherence, let me just find that quote, because it's such a cool one. I think it's on a different, yes. This has kind of become much more my theory of change. Yeah, when a system is far from equilibrium, small islands of coherence in a sea of chaos have the capacity to elevate the entire system to a higher order. To me, that is super exciting. Ilya Prigogine. Amazing. And yeah, his research was incredible, but I really believe that that is true. I've seen that to be true. So then it's like, okay, will you become an island of coherence? Can you find some people around you? Can you start to work in this way? I just think it's a different way of working. Any other? Thanks, Ines.
Thank you, Louise. Thank you. We'll be in touch with you afterwards with more questions.
And I do think philanthropy's got to change. I think all the systems have got to change. But whether only we are the change makers. we are the ones we've been waiting for. Yeah, and you get to live your full medicine. Yeah, we are the whole, so we affect that. We can't not, hey? Once you live, which I do, in this other connected paradigm, or, you know, certainly for me, very influenced by my tūhoitanga, you don't see the world in that fragmented way. But it does mean that we have great power, great medicine, and responsibility. But not to push ourselves more into the ground. Cow. Anyone else want to speak? Can't see any other questions that I've missed in the chat, Michelle.
No more at the moment. Welcome to reach us on email afterwards if a burning question comes up.
Yeah, vocal, otherwise others won't know we're the island. And there's a time to be vocal, because we all know mana, real mana can be felt. And there's group mana, there's collective mana. And to me, it's a very humble, connected, it's right in this territory. Yeah, so I'm going to pass to Rebecca. Or is it Chloe first or Rebecca? Or yeah. But please keep chucking in questions, because I really love hearing what they are as well.
Oh, kia ora, everyone. Thanks. I'm trying to get myself back into the blue, and in the space. So thanks, Louise, for taking us on a whistle-stop tour, and just acknowledging really upfront that this is big mahi, and it's unapologetically big, and it's unapologetically not for everyone. But if it's connecting and feels like, for you, then that's, we're super happy around that. A couple of things I kind of wanted to talk about is because we've been working with Louise on this mahi for a while. In a way, we've wanted to work in a way that honours and really kind of, feels into the work as well. So we try not to rush it, we try not to force it, and we try not to, against my Pākehā origins, squish it into something that it's not. So, which is kind of challenging in its own space around that. So I wanted to kind of share 2 or 3 things that we've done to kind of help Haumanu into the world. And one of them is we started very early on with a community of practice, and we worked with 15 people from not-for-profits, and we kind of journeyed with them and explored and prototyped and built and shared around Haumanu. And some of the things we learned along the way was, as Louise said, it's the islands of coherence, working where there's energy, really kind of not, because in my kind of brain I was like, right, well, we will march into the organisation and everyone will do Haumanu, and we will all be a better place. Not going to work, but the things that can work, we learn, are around building up your own kind of resourcing. Everyone can start with the team resourcing. That is a really kind of gentle way to kind of get into the space. And really, as you said, kind of finding those people in the organisation and prototyping with them to do that. So the next piece that we did after the community of practice is we brought together a group of people and shared facilitation training, because we realised that we can't have Louise everywhere. And so what we needed was to really share and have other folks that could do this mahi, because not everyone can do it, that is around it. So that was a 15-month training, and Rebecca's going to share in a little minute about her experience of being part of that ropu that did that. The third thing we did is we're in our 4th year of working with Women's Refuge. So that is where there's been a leadership program with Haumanu informing that mahi, and that has been an enormously incredible journey for the team working in that space, for the wahine themselves. You don't need me to tell you that that's a trauma field, and the resourcing and the work that was needed in that space there. So we're working with, this is the 4th year, and actually working with all of there's, I think, maybe 50 wahine or even more, I think Michelle and Louise, who have been through the program, and they are building, and we are seeing and tracking some systems change within the organisation. So that is a really exciting piece for us to be able to see. And then we get to what we've got coming up now. So we did some research a couple of years ago on leadership. We know the sector's really struggling. We could see that Haumanu could be something that could provide some support if we could work with leaders in that space, if we could work with facilitators. So we are launching a Haumanu leadership program, which is 15 months. We'll share some of the details, but that's, I guess, a way for people who want to go deeper and really learn the tools, have some of the facilitation skills, start their own journey of being a walking restorer, and really kind of taking those skills and working within an organisation. So really encourage anyone who's interested to think about that or think about others. We've worked really hard. We can't offer it free. We do a lot of free things like today, but some things need to have a charge of them. So we're also working to see if we can get some funders who might be able to support some scholarships, but working in that. And yeah, I think it'd be helpful, Rebecca, if you wanted to share, because Rebecca was one of our facilitators, as co-leads the Pakeha project, and can really kind of, I guess, share what Haumanu's meant for her own practice and how she works.
Yep. Thanks, Chloe. Thanks. Kia ora, everybody. It's really beautiful to see you all, and yeah, feel really privileged to be here actually, and part of the Haumanu kind of whānau. And yeah, I was part of the group that did 15-month facilitator training, in many ways really similar to the training that's being proposed for leaders and that we're entering into. And it was profound for me, I have to say. It was probably like the most life-changing experience, and we do use Haumanu as a process, really, as the ata process of Haumanu approach within the Pakeha project. And so a lot of the work that I do out there in the world is in fact dealing with exactly that trauma field, and it's the trauma field of colonisation and what that brings up for people. So it's really important to be able to actually work with that because it is there. And I've found that the Haumanu process of learning and the facilitation training that I did was just amazing, because what it really got me to understand is how I am within that system. So it's this ongoing process of kind of, you can't kind of do Haumanu, if you like, if you're not actually healing yourself and in that process of doing it. So I'm just in this constant process of kind of learning and relearning and working with my own patterns and all of those things as I work with other people in their own patterns. So it's a real sort of sense of that. And I think what it's really, really given me is a bit of an island of coherence, exactly what Louise and Chloe have been talking about, and that I've still got my a sort of triad, I guess, of people that I meet with every 2 weeks, and we digest the shit together. And oh my goodness, that really makes a difference, and especially in the world in the way that it is right now. Like, you cannot do that on your own. And that's what I've loved about this, is this sense of, oh yeah, it's actually not me. It's not all about me, it's me as part of this collective web. And if I can start to understand myself in that way better through actually doing it with other people, then I'm not carrying a massive weight of responsibility. It's the sense of constantly doing that and having the opportunity to kind of digest all of that stuff with others has been just extraordinary. I think I can't, and what they were both saying about, your ability to just kind of be yourself. I've really felt myself come home to myself in this process, and it's still going on. Like I'm not there yet, that's for sure. And I don't know if you ever are, and that's the beautiful thing. It's just this lovely ongoing unfolding. So I really, it's been an amazing experience for me.
Thanks, Rebecca. Yeah, so feel into whether Haumanu calls you, but also, as I said, there's lots of resources on the Centre for Social Impact website. Michelle put some in the chat, but these kind of pauses, resourcing, connecting to earth, anything you can do to wire in that place of your team, that place in your organisation, that place in you will just set you on some of this anyway. So 6 by 1, hey, for all of you individually too. 6 times a day for 1 minute, can I do something that brings me joy and ease? Because you're getting off that sympathetic highway and giving yourself some nourishment. As soon as you kind of do that, that actually goes out to your workplace and family system anyway. So it's a really beautiful thing. And then the more you grow that, the more you actually can heal that sympathetic. And this is what we're trying to do as a team, that it can fold anything that arises back into the flow of life. I say back into these traumatized parts that actually can come back into being integrated into the flow of life. And to learn to do that collectively will release the medicine of the people. And we need that in this time. We don't need you all to be partially bringing your medicine because you're exhausted. We need it fully, like all of you, all of it. So I'm super passionate about, this work. I'm part of an international movement called Healing Centered Systems Change. There's other things. There's a podcast. I'm on LinkedIn, lots of those things I put through LinkedIn, articles, the podcast. Also, I've got Instagram, Louise Mara, that just gives you tahi, which is what ideas for 1 minute with lots of other people. And Michelle also put in our nahere, which Tuihana and I did to, again, give lots of ideas for how you might do those pauses. So, give it all a go and reach out to us if you need to know anything. So I'll finish us with karakia, e noi tātou. Tau mai rā te kaupapa o te hui. Tau mai rā te kōrero, tau mai rā te rongo. Tau mai rā te rangamari e. Tau mai rā ngā whakaro, tau mai rā te aroha, tau mai rā te wairua. Tihei, mauri ora. Blessings, everybody, for your day. Beautiful to be with you.